Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it's the day after we had the tropical depression, hurricane rains. And while the creek's up a little bit, it's not up a terrible amount. And there's certainly not anywhere near flooding. I did see some of the bigger rivers around here, a few of them. Went over some low water crossings and things like that, but right here we did pretty good. Like I said, it's up just a little bit, but not much. But they're calling for a big warm up, like I kind of figured would happen after this. By this weekend, we're supposed to be in the mid to upper 90s, and I'm sure a good helping of humidity with that, because that's just typical around here. But it's summertime, so what are you gonna do? You know, you just suck it up and you keep going. I think one of the hard parts with a lot of people, even though maybe they haven't gotten to that point, is knowing when it's time to close the doors, to shut the gates, to lock down. I've had people ask me that. I've seen the comments. Occasionally people will talk about that. I get emails. And for those of you that are fully awake to what's going on, you're prepared, you're ready for it. The idea of shutting down, you know, it's finally time. I think you know what I'm talking about. You know, things have gotten bad enough that we're shutting the ark doors. Coming to that decision or realizing when the appropriate time to do that is probably somewhat difficult, because really none of us have ever had to do that before. Now, there are some people that always jump the gun, and they've, you know, closed the ark doors many times, and there's nothing wrong with that. I want to make that clear. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, if you think that, oh my goodness, it's time, I better kind of lock it and start, you know, flipping the switch on the prepper plans, just look at that as a training. I mean, you know, it's a dry run. It's a training. I wouldn't get in the habit of doing it all the time, because you may get to the point that you're so desensitized to what's happening that you miss it when the real thing happens. But just look at it as that. But for the rest of you that just always worry or are concerned with, you know, when is that time? How will I know? What will happen? Because there's so many different things going on. You know, it's hard to have a good idea of what's going on, or what's going to happen, or what it's going to look like. I can tell you that from my standpoint, I don't have a specifically written out, you know, this is when we shut down the farm and the gates close and no one comes in or out. There's nothing like that written down, but you just have to number one, pray for discernment. That's something that we do as a family, and that we should all be doing. And then you just got to have a best guess is really what it is. Things are happening, right? I think every one of you, other than the trolls that get on the comment section, but every one of you understand that things are happening. And it may be 2 or 3 months left before things get super crazy. It could be years. It's possible a decade or two, but I really think that things will be over by then. But things are happening pretty quickly. And we have to kind of stay on our toes and pay attention. You know, there's so many various things happening that, whether they're just coincidental or they're testing the system, you know, like a bunch of cattle testing that electric fence. It's hard to say. You know, just yesterday, I believe it was South Dakota and Nebraska's 911 systems, or a large portion of them, went down. This isn't the first time that's happened. In fact, over the last 12, 18 months, there have been several large, widespread outages of 911 systems across America. Why is that happening? I mean, each time it's like there's a different excuse. Oh, a cable got cut in such and such state. You know, they were digging, an underground cable got cut, and, you know, all these states, their 911 went down. There's always some excuse, but it makes you wonder, are they testing? Are they testing to see what they can get away with? Because I think that's part of their plan, is they want this transition to happen. They want this reset to happen without people getting too upset. Because in the end, these people are smart, and they know that there's, here in America, 330 million of us and, a few handfuls of them, that if people really either turned against them or just truly went into some type of apocalyptic panic, they would lose control. And so I'm a firm believer that the reason why for you and I that are awake, why it seems like this has been just drawn out, it's because they're doing it for a purpose. It's kind of like I've used the analogy before. The plane is crashing. Pilot knows it. He knows that there's nothing he can do to stop the crash, but he goes ahead and he grabs a hold and he's trying to guide that crashing plane into the safest place possible and the safest crashing possible. He knows it's going to crash, but he's trying to, keep the casualties down by crashing it in the way that he wants it to crash. That's really what it is, except these people actually caused the plane to crash and they're trying to guide it in the way that they want it. So it looks to be that things are being, drug out, but they're happening. And we have to be aware of that and not allow it to consume us, but then on the other hand, also not just ignore it. I think we need a healthy dose of what's going on and news, but not too much. I made a video just a couple of days ago over on Locals, which you probably should go check that out. There's a link down there in the description. It's free to join. Just some of the content is behind a paywall. It's $3 a month if you choose to pay. But I think part of our problem as a society, a huge part of our problem, for many reasons, but right now just speaking of one, is that we have way too much internet, way too much technology. People are way too consumed with what's going on. And I think even for the preppers, we spend too much time consuming this stuff, too much time watching what's going on and not doing. My wife and I were having a conversation just the other day about someone. They're not close to us, okay? So it's not like someone in our camp. It's just someone that we know. And I know you could say, well, why are you talking bad about them? It wasn't that, because it's someone that we're not close to, we think is a good person, but, we were pointing it out. And anyways, you can criticize me all you want. I got tough skin. We were saying how this guy, he's always got great ideas. He's always talking about all this good stuff that could be done, and he's a smart person and capable, but actually never does anything. It's one of those talkers, not doers. And we can't be like that. We can't be that we're just consuming all this information about how the world is falling apart, consuming all this information on how to actually prepare for it, and then not do anything. Because we don't know the timeline. I mean, we could be days away. We don't know. It's kind of like, well, you could get killed in a car accident tomorrow. We don't know. It could be days away, it could be weeks. My guess is a couple of months. I'd say we've got a couple of months before the real big war breaks out and all that kind of stuff starts really taking place, but it could be much longer than that. But the point is we don't know. We don't know when it's time to pull the plug, when it's time to shut the doors and close the gates. We should have plans for that, but we don't know when it happens. But yet, on the other hand, we can't be so consumed by that moment, by that thing, that we lose focus on actually getting ready for it. And I think that's the problem with a lot. There's become this addiction to internet, addiction to, and I'm not talking about the general population. That's been true for a long time. That's already known. I'm talking about folks like you and I. We've become addicted to the information and not to the wisdom. The Bible kind of speaks on that a little bit, that they will be consumed with knowledge and not know how to use it. We've become addicted to all of this. And the problem is that people are filling their heads with knowledge about what's going on, or how to do something, how to grow food, how to have animals, whatever it is. And they're not putting it to practice. You know, they have a brain that's this big with knowledge, but you know, their muscles are little tiny things because they're not actually using that knowledge. And so we can't allow ourselves to be consumed that way. And we can't allow ourselves to be consumed by when is the right time to pull the plug. You'll know, you'll have a good idea. And like I said, if you do it and you know, call your wife and kids or whatever the plan is, and we're locking down, you know, the gates are closed. And then days later, you realize that you jumped the gun. It's not quite time. That's fine. But you'll have a good idea of when that time has happened. The main thing is that it's that we should worry about not about when to close the gates, not about when to shut those ark doors. That's really not the most important thing. The most important thing that I think of, other than spiritual stuff and family and all that, I'm talking about physical preparations, is to actually be doing these things, to actually be putting your feet to the ground, putting your money where your mouth is, your feet where your mouth is, and actually be doing stuff. This may be the last somewhat normal summer we have for a long time. It may not, but it's possible it is. And don't be wasting away the time that you have by consuming the knowledge, but not actually putting it to practice, because you're only going to consume so much knowledge to the point that it just becomes a habit. It just becomes an addiction. It's entertainment at that point. And you know, I said, I think it was in the locals video, I may have said it on YouTube, but with some of our guys in our tribe the other day, and they were talking about a particular YouTube video, homesteading YouTube video from a popular channel. And they all had seen it, and they asked me, and I was like, I didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's not because I'm better than them, because, I mean, all of the guys that I was talking to, they all are hard workers. I mean, they probably work circles around me. But that particular one, I hadn't seen it. And it's because that as much as I make YouTube videos every day, I've really worked to cut a lot of that stuff out. I don't watch that kind of content very often, really. I don't have time. And you know, I have certain little areas online that I go to get information, but I don't allow myself to become consumed by it and just spend all my time consuming, because it's easy. It's easy to sit there for hours and hours and you don't even realize it. We need to be doing stuff. Don't be worrying about so much about what's going on. Yes, it's good to kind of know where we're at and get a good, you know, estimate on how much longer we have left. And of course, it's good to continue to learn a little bit, but we need to be doing. It's not a time to be sitting and consuming. We should have been doing that for years now. Most of you should have been, most of you have. Now's the time, and we're really beyond it, but now's the time to be doing constantly. Prepping isn't like a hobby anymore. It's not like something you do when you have time. It should be a major part of your life. Getting yourselves ready, learning skills, figuring out what needs to be done on the property, you know, developing your self-sufficiency, you know, more food production, water, storage of food and stuff, medical, training, firearms, community building, you know, making sure you have the things to keep your vehicles and all your equipment and tools running. This kind of stuff should be done on a very regular basis. It should be a major part of your life, because it's getting to that point. The internet stuff, the worry about when it's time to pull the plug, the worry about, you know, is it over yet or not? I really don't think that we should even be focused on that much. I think we should just be focused on the actual preparations, and we'll know when it's time. We'll know when it's time. You'll have a pretty good idea, and hopefully and prayerfully you'll be able to see it in advance a little bit, kind of be ahead of the curve, and that again comes from praying for discernment, praying for direction, for guidance, for wisdom. But we got to be doing stuff, folks. We're beyond time of just sitting around and thinking and talking about it. It's time to be doers. It's time to also get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.